peace. But let's see here. Oh, okay. So, is it one of these buildings here? Where the fuck is this place?
So we're live, by the way.
Oh, hello everyone. Welcome to another scene in Chaos in London. Today, the different players of this scene are currently happening to do their thing at the London Library for various different purposes. The area outside is by a square called St. James Square, and there's a garden in the middle of the square. The library seems to be surrounded by various different townhouses where there are different clubs and fitness centers and other artistic galleries. In the library, you guys enter. And when you guys enter, you will notice that it's basically this small little townhouse door. And inside, it will open up into kind of this larger hall that has all sorts of books. It seems to have 2 different floors, and it's almost kind of its own little mini labyrinthine place where you can go and browse books. And it seems like, according to the pictures here, you can even buy some. So it seems like a pretty nifty place to go hang out, a nice little cozy. Oh wow! It seems like they're quite a few sets of different levels. So there's an art room. There's a fiction literature area, biographies, etc., etc. And Hannah will be probably in the religious in the area of like history that has to do with like religion, and she'll be there in the back just reading a book on probably sin.
So Anne is actually very buff-looking Asian woman in casual clothes who's probably sitting in like the psychology section reading a book about memory loss, and she like brings it to like a main reading area and is just sitting there reading this book about memory loss.
Does she have anything does she have any mental defenses or anything like that?
No.
So I could probably see her aura.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. So how's she feeling at the moment? I noticed this rainbow-like or individual with a rainbow-like aura. At least anyone else has one too.
Yeah, I just go with that because it's easier. But yeah, she has a rainbow aura, and probably like whatever color is good for it means introspection is a bit more dominant in the rainbow. Like it's a bit brighter, a bit more space taken up in the rainbow.
All right, Casey, Adib, what are you guys up to?
Casey probably in the library, also in the occult back section. Looking at the Deadly Sins also. Trying to figure out books and everything.
Probably you and her. It's more than likely you and Hannah arrived together, since this was something they had been planning a little bit to figure out what's been going on with the Sins. She'll be in the same area where our Hessian friend is.
As far as Adib goes, you're going to see a somewhat dustier and somewhat smellier Adib. Just like, the only one of you who's met him before is Hannah. Hannah might spot him like going between the aisles. The clothing is very distinctive. It hasn't changed. That's why the smell's there now. And he's carrying a pile of books, looking furtively around.
She'll kind of look towards Adib and she'll be like, oh. She'll almost look surprised. She'll scratch her head and she'll just kind of get up and walk on over to Adib, and she'll say in Enochian, "Hey, it's been a few days. Are you okay?"
He's going to kind of look at her, frown slightly. It took him a second to recognize her because he only met her once. Though to be fair, she's one of the only people who could speak his language. So, he just one of the languages. But anyways, he just kind of looks at her, squints, processes what she said, thinks about it. Your streets stink.
She'll chuckle and she'll say, "Generally, not always. Do you have a place to stay?"
Yes. Yeah. Do not know how to describe. It is a good way from here. Points in a vague direction.
Were you in like one of these town buildings here? Were you? I just want to know if you're okay, because having someone walk around without a clear sense of who they are is kind of worrisome.
If I am hungry, Asha provides. If I am thirsty, Asha or the sky provides. Or if I'm hungry, I also might find a rat. But preferably Asha provides.
What's Asha? They'll probably just to get Casey and Anne on this. You'll notice that there's like this weird like man that has this elaborately dressed clothing, a girl with Heron blue hair and really dark sets of clothing, talking to each other, and they're a little bit louder than you'd prefer.
They're also speaking in a language which is not recognizable to 99% of listeners.
Yeah, they're speaking like this very peculiar language that sounds as though like I've actually read parts of the real language. It's kind of like there's a lot of ahs and the words are long.
Oh, I got curiosity anyway. So Anne's just going to look up and just say, "You realize you're being a bit loud in the library."
Yeah.
Sorry. She'll kind of whisper down a little bit.
Why are you being quiet? He lowers his voice a little, but he's like looking over at the woman he didn't understand. Like, wait, what? Why?
She was saying that we were a bit loud. This is a library. Usually people here are trying to read, so if we talk here, we have to be really quiet.
Ah.
Common courtesy, kind of.
Shrugs slightly. He shrugs slightly, like, all right. Very well.
Do you understand what he's saying?
She'll nod over to Kate. She'll nod over to Casey and say, "Yeah, he seems to have amnesia?" Question mark. She'll say.
Okay.
He doesn't seem to know any other language besides.
You try to get him to a hospital.
Yeah, he'll look over and say, "You don't want to go," and she'll speak in Enochian quietly. "You don't want to go to a hospital, do you?"
I'm going to assume that an Enochian hospital will translate roughly to place of healing or something like that, because the word wouldn't mean anything.
It will roughly. She'll probably use more of a description with Enochian to say like. Probably place of healing, but she'll probably describe it more as more like a modern place. She'll kind of nod her head left to right. Again, you can always visit the Chantry.
He kind of looks non-committal at that, like not wanting to say anything about your so-called chantry, but but at the hospital he just says, "I am not ill."
Yeah, but I mean, you clearly remember your name, but do you remember like your childhood or your life, or is that all like a blur to you?
Bits and pieces. I do remember now a little bit from when I slept over the last couple nights. There is a sense that this is meant to be. This is
So you think this is a part of your path that you don't remember?
We tried to be incredibly stupid. I'm gonna sit behind one of the shelves.
She'll nod, and she'll translate over a little bit to Casey. He says he'll sit by over by the shelves. Come on, I'm gonna introduce you to Casey.
No, I'm doing that. I'm doing something else. I'm gonna turn on Prime site. Give me 1 second.
Okay. How can
Sorry
I
about
get
that.
Anne into the conversation? I'm really trying to think.
I mean, Anne just
what
stands up and hands Hannah the book she's reading about memory loss because they were speaking in English about.
Yeah.
She just kind of walks up and hands her the book about memory loss. You might want to read this for him.
She'll kind of read the book cover and she'll say, "Ah, that could actually be really useful. Your name is."
There we go.
You can call me Anne Shen.
Byron, what were you trying to do? Because I lost connection while you were describing.
He steps to the side, and he can quickly activate his Prime site.
Prime site, you say?
Yeah.
I have
Well,
Prime Site.
You've got 3 mages, counting yourself, and a Hissien. I mean, you don't know it's a Hissien necessarily, but they have quintessence, just a different form of it. Also, there's a ring on Adib's hand. That's a lot of quintessence.
Exactly.
That ring is like, there's a lot of stuff there. By the way, does anyone have Spirit Sight?
I don't have Spirit yet.
No one has Spirit Sight up. Okay.
No.
And I have no idea how CN sites work, so.
I mean, they don't have like that kind of sight. And if it's, I doubt she would be able to pull the spirit out, even if she had the alchemy's for it, because it's not an Eastern spirit, or not a
Middle Eastern spirit.
Yeah, not a Chinese
Jade Kingdom.
spirit.
Yeah,
yeah.
So I will look at Hannah again and be like, and speaking English there. I believe he to be a maze. Not sure about the other one.
She'll look over to Anne and say, "Seems like you're she'll just say, forgot to mention my name. It's Hannah, and I'm guessing you're She'll kind of tilt her head side to side. She'll ask, "Fairfolk?" And she'll say that very quietly.
And she kind of raises her eyebrow and says, "Oh no, I'm not Wygoran."
Wygoran? I've never heard the term.
And she just says, "It's Chinese for stranger." There's a rough translation. It's what we call them.
And and you're different.
Of course, everyone's different.
That's fair. That's a fair description. But you've been having memory issues, or someone you know?
Well, I went and visited some place. I can't quite remember what it was. And all I remember is that some crazy lady showed up. And then I had a few days where I just had no memory. I only recently got my memory back, so.
Has this book been helpful to you?
Somewhat. It seemed like it was like the memories returned back on their own, though, so.
That's good. Hopefully they return back in time with you, Deeb. She'll say in Enochian. And then she'll say, "Do you want me to teach you the local language?" She'll say to Medivh in English, or sorry, in Enochian.
It's quite all right. I will find a way.
You find the way.
You sure?
Yes. I thank you, though.
All right. Very well. She'll say in Enochian. She'll actually give the book back to Anne and say, "It seems like he would like to figure things out on his own."
By the way, are there like a good number of mortals around with an easy eye shot?
Hannah will just say, "Come on, let's go to a more private area. No one really hangs out in the occult section." So she tries to lead everyone. She starts walking to the occult section. And just,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Anne's just gonna follow, whether she was invited or not. She's just gonna follow.
Oh yeah, okay, fair enough. So we go into an area like more in the back, go down some stairs where there's like this. I want to imagine like there's this one part of the library that's an occult section where you kind of have to go down some stairs, and it's like this nice little huddled area where there's some chairs around, and it seems to be away from the other parts of the library. It's all secret. So suddenly they're all alone, without any mortal eyes at the very least looming over them. And she'll say, "So at least we're hopefully a little bit out of earshot of our sleeping." She tries to think of a word, but she can't think of one. She says, "Of our fellow sleepers."
Why do you call them sleepers?
Who do you mean specifically by them? She'll send Enochian to Deeb.
You had us leave all of the others upstairs. I do not know them, but why?
We call them sleepers because their souls remain asleep to the world around them. They do not see magia.
They do not know the ways of the arts.
No, they don't.
No.
Most people don't. Vast majority of people don't.
That sounds right.
She's just trying to think of like right now she kind of sits back down. She's trying to think of like a way to like help with the language barrier here. Oh, I'll happy to do a intelligence occult roll.
There's no way on God's green earth this character would know what you are.
Hannah might have heard of what you were, maybe.
Yeah, she's got something that adds actually.
Holy shit! I got 3 successes.
Woo.
So yeah, the way she's speaking, like yeah, that's how the Eastern changelings talk. Specifically, the word Wygoran. They use that for their Western cousins.
Oh, hellfire.
She'll just say, so she'll look towards, God damn it, she'll, like, my brain's all managed all over the place. She'll say, so it seems like you're not the only one with memory issues. She'll look to Anne, and she'll speak in English.
And she just is kind of nods and just looks to Hannah. Yes, I kind of gathered that.
What is, would I know the term Hessian?
You got 3 successes, right?
I got an 8, a 10, and a 10.
So probably.
Okay. So she'll say, so what are the Hessian doing so far from the east?
And she just raises an eyebrow and says, what? Just because we're from China doesn't mean that we can't be in other places.
She shrugs and she just said, I was just curious. I've seen other, like you described the Gyeongyu, but I've not seen Hessian. It's just, you're rare in these parts, so I was just curious.
And then she just smiles and says, oh, don't get all, stuffy. I was just messing with you.
Chuckles. To be frank, you never know what takes individuals off these days.
And she shrugs and says, well, maybe if you'd encountered one of my cousins and said that might have angered them, but I'm not bothered.
Well, that relieves. That's quite relieving. And she'll translate what she's saying to Adib. What they're saying to Adib.
He looks generally lost at this whole talk of Hessian, the Far East, stuff like that. He's just just doesn't say anything, just tilting his head.
Out of character. This is difficult.
And Anne is just watching Hannah. Are you all right?
I'll be honest. I'm just trying to figure out a way to
Alright, I'm back.
out of character, guys. How do you want to proceed from here? I'm not really sure how to have the scene keep going.
What do you mean?
Like, what do we do? Like, I'm not sure what to talk about or what to say or what to do.
No.
I honestly don't know.
I mean,
The new blood here.
you guys could fill in Adib and Anne on the situation in the city, because neither of them have really heard about that.
Fair enough. So she'll say, "Oh, this is a perfect question." She'll look to Anne and she'll say, do you know anything about the celestial bureaucracy?"
And her mouth kind of twists to the side, and she says, I know a bit, but it's not like my people interact with them very often.
Well, thought it might be something you should know. It seems like someone's going after various denizens of various different pantheons. gods.
And she kind of chuckles and says, "The celestial bureaucracy can fend for itself, for all I care."
Fair enough. Have you also managed to spot any spirits of temptation or sin? Because they're also loose in the city.
And she kind of raises an eyebrow and says, "You mean more than usual in a Western city?"
She chose, yes, more than usual in the Western city.
Very unusual.
Not that I know of, but I'm not one that's all about the spirit world myself.
Oh well, it's not necessarily about the spirit world, especially since they seem to have manifested here physically.
And she tilts her head to the side and says, "Well, that's not good."
No, especially since who knows if there's more than 7.
So I said she doesn't know much about the spirit world, and I look at her sheet and she has spirit lore too, and now I feel really stupid.
Oops.
Oops.
And she just kind of says, "Oh, sorry.
Oh, my memories come back
ahead.
to me.
I'll actually be right back."
I was just testing you,
just a
stupid
second.
Yod.
So we'll say Anne's gone to the washroom.
Yeah.
She look at Casey and says, "So it seems like there's an 8th sin. At least
Yeah.
you know what it is, right?"
No, did you figure it out?
It's actually really sad what it is. It's
Oh.
sorrow.
Interesting.
Sadness, depression. I can see why they no longer consider that a sin, because it'd be quite interesting to have a society where being sad is considered a sin. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
All right, what did I miss?
Casey was just Hannah was just telling Casey about the 8th sin, sorrow.
Okay. And Anne is just going to say, What can you tell me about these sins? We don't have them where I'm from."
Well, they're I guess a Western depiction or a personification of, well, the flaws of humanity. There are 7, but there used to be considered 8. One is wrath. There's envy. There's lust / desire. They're kind of interchangeable. Sloth. Pride.
Envy, out of character.
Envy. I already said envy.
Oh, you did? I
Yeah, I
completely
did.
missed it.
What's the one where you eat too much out of character?
Gluttony.
Gluttony. It's just like gluttony. And gluttony, sorrow, and the other one is greed. So apparently there seems to be manifestations out there causing all sorts of chaos within the city. And we're trying to nail them down. At least me and Casey are. Poor Deep here seems to have popped in at just in an interesting time.
Well, have you tried trapping them?
I guess that's what we're researching. How exactly to trap them. There's probably a way we could do that. Tempt them a little bit and find a means to actually have some kind of object to trap them. Unfortunately, I'm not well versed in the my arts don't translate. My arts aren't honed well when it comes to the spirit worlds just yet.
Well, oh, sorry, Byron, go ahead.
No, I was agreeing.
Okay. I don't know how to trap spirits very well. It's not something I've learned, but I can always talk to my master and see if maybe he has some advice for you.
That would be helpful. At the very least, and maybe there are other ways to stop them. Usually a lot of stories go that you have to try and accept them as a part of who you are and then trying to shun them, and usually that gets them reeling.
Perhaps. Then you run the risk of them overwhelming you. You give them a foothold.
Well, that's the nature of existence, it seems. Seems like you're damned. Seems like unless you find the right balancing act, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
And she nods and says, balance is everything.
Seems to be. Maybe we can stay in touch with each other, and if you spot anything strange, you can let us know.
She nods and oh, sorry, go ahead.
Maybe if things get hectic, we can help each other.
She nods and writes down her number on a piece of paper, hands it to him. And if you're ever in Greenwich Park, I work there, so feel free to hit me up.
I'll stop by. I always like to find new places to look up at the stars. And she'll write down her number and give it to you. And she'll also, you okay if I give her your number, Casey?
Yeah, so why not?
Cool. And she'll write down Casey's number and give it to you.
Okay. So she'll pocket that as well. Interesting. And she looks at Adib and kind of says, "What? What do you think you'll do to help him with his memory?"
Well, I know members of the organization I'm with that may be able to help him. She'll say, but it seems as though he wants to figure things out on his own, and I don't want to force any help on him that he doesn't want.
And she nods and says, "A noble endeavor, but a leaf that is blowing in the wind is of no use to anyone."
She'll look to Adib and say an Enochian to him, "Look, I understand you may want to figure things out on your own, but it might be more helpful to everyone around you if at the very least someone helps you learn the language, unless you have a plan for that."
I do.
What's your plan? Maybe I can help.
He kind of crosses his arms slightly and says, I appreciate your offer, but I do not need your assistance in this matter. I will be fine.
So she kind of actually looks a little bit disappointed and like slightly sad, very slightly, and she'll just say, "So be it. Just don't hurt yourself. Don't get yourself hurt." She'll look at Anne and say in English, "Seems like um, seems like he's confident that he can help himself."
And she nods and she says, "All right.
Eh?
So you know what I am, but I don't know what you are. I think it would be fair if you at least told me to what group you belong."
Well, it seems fair enough. I can't speak for the others, but at least for myself, I'm a magi.
It's strange encountering Chienta this far from home.
Well, you may have seen I mean, we're pretty well everywhere. Anybody has the keys, the lock to wield the art. They just have to find it.
Perhaps that's an interesting way to look at it.
She'll just say, in a way, if you really think about it, whether or not something wields magic, a lot of things are made of it.
That is,
magic.
I suppose everything's magic if you look at it in the right light.
Mm-hmm. Everything is made up of the same building blocks of potential.
And I was talking and I'm mic muted.
Oh, sorry.
Wondering what's going on. Okay. So he's like, so if I may ask, what's up with your clothing? It seems a little bit dated.
She'll say to Enochian, Casey here's asking why you're wearing these sets of clothes. He thinks they're dated.
He just kind of looks. Just because I am in another country does not mean I need to wear thingy.
She'll translate what he's saying back to Casey.
Okay, what he's actually going to say is, I'm trying to think how, because I got to be very careful about how I phrase it, because I'm trying to stick to something on this. Where I come from, this is what most people wear if they have enough money and time and patience.
Sounds very
The
fair.
style of dress that you all are wearing, it is normal for here, but I do not feel a need to change what I am.
And she'll say, then she'll translate that back to Casey, and she'll say in Enochian, that sounds perfectly fine.
55 me, I was curious. Perfectly fine with what I'm wearing.
Do you remember where you come from?
Bits and pieces. I know the name. I've compiled what I know. It is much of it seems to be just I know it without being able to say how I know it. But I know I am from a Shah. I know that a Shah is the sum of all that is. That seems to be most of it right there. I also know what I think I know what I am here to do.
You think you know?
I am here to experience the Druge.
What is the Druge?
A lie.
Ah, she'll say. And I'm guessing Asha. What is it? Asha is the opposite?
Yes. The Shah is the way that things are, and the Druge is the denial of this.
Pretty accurate pretty accurate way of looking at things here, in a way. A lot of things that seems to distract us from the truth.
What is this ruse you're meant to experience?
I know it is called the Druge. It is a lie. It is the denial of all that is. These words are like a. These are not my words, if that makes sense. It is as if I had read these or been told this, and it is burned into my mind.
Interesting.
Perhaps once I have been here a little bit longer and had time to speak to more of this world's inhabitants, or sorry, he wouldn't say that, to more of these this country's inhabitants, maybe I will learn then.
Alright, if you need help along the way.
It would help a lot. Can I ask you a question? Gonna sound a little bit weird, but hell? Sorry, I just looked at something. Currently, I am putting together a team to deal with these sins. And I'm looking for more people to help along. Maybe you'd be interested in giving it a look?
It's a good opportunity if you want to learn about if you want to experience the Druge. That's what you're meant to do.
What do these sins, as you speak of them, have to do with the Druge?
Well, in a way, they're perhaps the parts of humanity that encourage us to follow the lie. Greed, envy, desire, wrath, pride.
Those are not the Druge.
Oh, they're not the Druge. Maybe I'm confused then.
He looks confused also, for what it's worth. He just kind of thinks for a minute. In my mind, when I think of the Asha, it is all that is. Everything is part of the Asha. The Asha is the truth. Everything in the world is Asha. But the Druge is those who deny that this is the case. They do not know of the Asha. These sins that you speak of, they are failings. They are things that people can be, but that is not something separate from the Asha. That is part of how things are as well.
I see. Okay, fair enough. I could see that.
One moment. He's going to turn. I'm going to make a roll now. And pray to God I don't botch. I'm going to burn a willpower. Well, that's I'll double check one thing before I make the roll. Just assume he's doing something while you guys are talking, because it's going to take me a few minutes to come up with this.
Okay.
Good. Oh.
Anne has just like sat in a chair and put her feet up on a table and listened. She's just listening at this point.
So, did anybody else get me ideas?
What was that,
Sorry?
Kate? What was that?
Any more ideas about the chins? I tried finding out more, but
Well, if you're looking for information, looking in a mortal library is probably not the best place to look.
well, I don't exactly got a Besto library.
You'd be surprised what you can find. There's a little, at least, there's sometimes you can get hidden bits and pieces from places like this, but it's not always, but you kind of have to do a little bit more scrounging. I think, Casey, we should probably just, at this point, we should probably just go together, make a plan to go out and do some patrolling, and just encounter what, ask some of the other, those who know more, make a plan, and then maybe do some patrolling.
Should be able to. That sounds like a good plan.
He
Yeah.
seems to be drawing right now, by the way, on a piece of paper with, well, someone left a pencil. It looks strange, but he knows what a pencil is. You know, the concept anyways.
It is a writing utensil.
Charstick, yes. Exactly. Does not know the word pencil, but he understands you write with this thing. So he's drawing something.
Anna's watching what he's drawing kind of curiously.
Well, I got 3 successes. He is drawing, and this is, I raised the difficulty to show that this is a nice high quality drawing. He is drawing what appears to be a, it looks like it's a, is a small series of coins. Like a small pile. Like he's drawing what would look like a small pile of coins.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, what, you need money?
I'm assuming this gets translated over.
Yeah, she translates it over.
He waves a hand distractedly, like, no, I can take care of myself. And then now I must make the other roll. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, I know. I think I have an idea what you're doing.
Yes, you do. Shit. I gotta think, okay, this is vulgar. There are no witnesses. There are no sleeper witnesses.
There are no sleeper witnesses here.
And this is something he's good at, so difficulty should be... I'm going to double check one thing real quick. I'm pretty sure I've got that.
It's probably... yeah, it's probably
yeah, he does have,
to pull this off.
It's a rote. It's a rote, so I don't have to worry about that at least. And this is his... It's not a personalized instrument, because these are not well-prepared writing utensils or anything like that, so it's just going to be diff 4. And I will burn a willpower again. Well, 3 successes. And what he's going to do, he sets the very nice drawing of a small pile of coins. They all seem to have like little symbols and such on them. They're like just the symbol is very simple. It's just like, you know, something which looks similar to Arabic or Farsi, etc. But again, it's not quite. and it's just written around the edges. And he's just going to reach into the paper and pull out a fistful of coins, which he sets down on the paper. They are gold.
Her eyes widen and says, "Okay, so." She
I'm
kind of
just
has
going to
this,
assume we got like a dozen coins.
she kind of has like this ooh look on her face.
Neat trick and all, as you would say. However, it gave you a little bit.
And now I take Paradox.
Yeah, you take a dot of paradox.
More than a dot. We're using revised Paradox here, guys.
Are you sure?
I don't think
Yes.
Tiger's using revised paradox, is he?
Yeah, because I looked on the website.
He
It
is.
seems like we're not using the revised rules.
We are. It's literally on there.
I'll triple check that.
I even talked to Tiger about it.
Oh, we are.
Yep. He likes to use backlashes and such.
That's nice.
I've got it right here. Mate. Hold on. Paradox. Vulgar
Oh,
without
yeah,
witnesses.
yeah,
One
he's using
paradox
the
point
revised
per
ones.
level of the highest sphere. So I just gained 2 paradox because it was successful. So, boop, 2 paradox. I will write that down on my sheet.
Oy.
And he's going now. Here's the thing: when the paradox hits him, it's only 2 points. So I'm, since Tiger's not here, and it's only 2 points. Oh shit! It's if you gain upon gaining paradox, you must make an Arete roll at standard difficulty. Okay, well, yeah, this makes doing magic of any kind without an ST very, very complicated. But since it's only 2 points, I can't really get any of the complicated results anyways. And if he retcons this later, and I'll talk to him about it, then so be it. I will make the roll it tells me to make. 2d10.
Wait, so you automatically gain backlash when you roll? When you gain
Yep.
paradox?
And I failed the roll. It discharges immediately. Which in my case means, let's see, should your paradox backlash, the ST in charge of the scene will roll the accumulated paradox. There is no
Yeah,
ST.
that's
So
Tiger.
again, if he...
I mean, I'm an ST. If you'd like, I
Okay.
can roll it, but
That's fine. It'd just be roll
2d10.
2 dice. Yeah, and it doesn't say what the difficulty is, so I will assume 6.
It's wrong going on.
Yes, yeah, it's difficulty 6 to roll paradox. That's kind of a weird
success.
rule.
Yep.
How many successes did you get?
I haven't rolled yet. I'm double checking the rules for it. So, no successes, but
And so none of it discharges.
yeah.
That's right. It just sits there. So
Yep.
I've got 2 paradox in my pattern. That's fine.
Hashtag this is why we use mind.
He's still going to feel that though, even though like it didn't actually discharge. He's shaking his hand like, "Ugh. Ugh. That should not happen."
Well, yeah, that's the current situation we're in, she says. Again.
Is this because of those sins you spoke of?
She shakes her head. Humanity doesn't believe in that. Therefore, reality enforces what the consensus believes. If you do something against what the consensus believes, you get hit with a negative energy known as paradox. She's saying this in Enochian, so Anne wouldn't hear this.
Mm-hmm.
He's just staring at you now. Yeah, it's this like at first it's confusion. Like, no, I must have misunderstood. And then he's just like this dawning horror in his expression. He just has this look of abject horror. Not so much for him, just like incredulous, like, how?
He'll say, it's a really long story. But in essence, let's just say in the past, mages abused their power. People were scared of what we could do. a group came along that eventually tried to stop mages from abusing their power. And today they are known as the Technocracy. And to give us a disadvantage, they try to actively have humanity disbelieve in magic.
Most of what you're saying is clearly falling on deaf ears, but he's just like, he heard what you're saying. He's just like shaking his head like, this is what I came here to see.
Yes. So I'd be very careful with what you do with that. If you did that in front of people, you probably would have felt it worse. If you did that, and also there are a lot of basically think of it like, she says, there are a lot of ways for this group to see what you're doing. If they spot you, they might actively try to hunt you down and kill you. Or take you in and and turn you over to their side. It almost happened to me once.
He grips his belt dagger. They can try. He is, by the way, a fairly muscular individual.
She'll just kind of, they're very well, they have a lot of resources. They pretty much are have influence in most of the governments, institutions, corporations in the world. And it's the reason why most of us hide.
Then I will have to use these coins to hire some men.
You could probably trade those coins in for a lot of money, but those coins won't work here.
There's no money changer?
Well, you could probably go to a jewelry shop and get it exchanged for cash, and she'll bring out pounds. These are British pounds. And she'll put it on the table, these very basic, very kind of dull-looking coins from her wallet. This is the current currency that's used, and she'll let him kind of examine it.
Is it? Are they paper or?
Well, she'll give a 10-pound bill, and a couple pence and.
He looks. He still looks confused. He's just like, this is paper.
Yeah, money works a little bit. Money is now based off of strange economies that barely make any sense. Let's just say the world's very strange.
He just shakes his head. He's putting the coins into a small pouch.
This is why I thought it would be a good idea to at least have you meet some people that I know that could maybe help give you a better brief than I do, because, well, let's just say I can have my own cognitive issues. Because you'll need to learn how currency works, the language, a brief update on the Technocracy's methods and what they do. And
tell me then, these people that you work with, how do they plan on combating this?
All sorts of ways. Mostly they try to infiltrate the academic world and try to encourage possibilities so that people start believing again. But let's just say we're struggling. And there's also other houses that directly confront these individuals, but let's just say it's a really hard fight. We've been fighting them for centuries.
And failing, apparently.
Yeah.
Then you will forgive me if I pursue my own path. And he's actually going to...
Failure doesn't mean these individuals aren't competent, nor ignorant. But...
perhaps not, but... I do not have the luxury of waiting a lifetime to see if this changes someone's mind. And he's going to gather up the coins, put them in his pouch, and just give a cursory nod to those present and start heading back up the stairs. He left the books upstairs, by the way. He had just been looking through them briefly.
Good luck, Adib.
He nods politely. Like, he's not trying to be rude. It's just this guy is... If it helps, the way I envision his character is he's extremely proud, and he doesn't like accepting help from others. Also, I didn't take the overconfidence flaw, but damn, it was close. He's borderline.
Anne just looks at Hannah and says, well, that conversation can't have gone well.
Let's just say I gave him the current predicament as those that are supernatural have in this world.
So he's going off to try and do something to change it, I imagine.
Yep, and I offered him help, but it seems like he wasn't impressed with the fact that we've been failing.
Like his lost then.
Insert Hisian superiority.
I mean, literally, literally, wait until you hear what she was going to say. I was going to say this before you said that, but... Well, it's really only failing here in the West. We live perfectly fine in my home country.
That's good.
I think it's just a culture.
Well, she'll actually kind of go, well, I was recently in Hong Kong. Things were hard there.
Oh, Hong Kong? You mean the place nobody's heard from in literally years?
There's a reason for that.
Probably because of all the foreigners in it, I'd imagine.
She'll shrug.
Funny.
I mean, I don't know how you guys managed to be okay. I mean, the surveillance, most part, I mean, at least in the urban and parts of China, there's a lot of surveillance. And a lot of urbanized technology, factories.
Urbanization is not bad if it's controlled.
No, it isn't. But I don't think a lot of... I mean, people may have their spiritual beliefs, but I'm not sure if they believe them as intensely as they did in the past.
She kind of just shrugs and says, it's neither really here nor there in our current predicament.
This is true.
She kind of looks at between Casey and Hannah and says, unfortunately, I have some appointments to go to, but I wish you both luck in your endeavors.
Hey, you too.
She just kind of gives, like, not necessarily, like, a bow. She just kind of, like, nods her head to them respectfully and then heads out.
And she'll nod respectfully to her. Good luck, Anne.
Thank you.
Bows.
If he bows, she will bow back. She's not that rude. And yeah, she's gonna head out.
So, Casey, you want to ask some individuals around?
Probably will at a later date.
All right. Well, I'll ask around at the Chantry and let's see what we can find. I'll meet up with you later.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I remember that. She'll write that down. And she will get up. She'll say, see you later, Casey.
Later.
She'll leave.
Yay.
And I think that's a good place to end the scene.
Yep. 'Cause I got things I gotta do.
All right. So thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. And remember, superiority complexes